So I've had a fair amount of time with Marvel's Avengers, but its draw seemed to wane over the time. I've completed the storyline, but after that, I couldn't find myself wanting to play anymore. This leads me into probably the best part of Marvel's Avengers, the storyline. Camilla Khan's character and relationship with her father are very endearing, and you want to know more about who she is and her interests, which predominantly are the Avengers.
I was just some weird kid from Jersey who didn't fit in. But you saw me for who I really was. You accepted me. There's still a bad guy out there who wants to hurt the world. But we can stop him. Good isn't a thing you are. It's a thing you do.
First, you meet up with Bruce Banner, the Hulk. And starting out, it's a great relationship. She's trying to endear herself to Bruce Banner, to each of the Avengers that she meets. It's her wish to become an Avenger, I suppose. She's branded an Inhuman, a mutant as such. The radiation of the A-Day explosion has affected many people, but AIM are villainizing this change. The dialogue sequences are great and the voice acting is second to none. But then, once you start to play the missions and play through the game, it becomes apparent that a lot of what it is very shallow and repetitive. So Bruce Banner, the Hulk, is your first Avenger which joins the team. And my assumption would be that I would be able to just steamroll through everything, smashing my way through all of these countless robots. But I couldn't. It does take some tact, some strategy to complete these missions. Now, I'm not saying that's particularly a bad thing. You as the Hulk, for example, enter into some combat, smashing your way through until someone hits you and you're staggered. And if that keeps happening, you know, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 enemies around you, you could just be stuck there until you're killed, downed. And it just takes you away from that feeling of, I am the Hulk, right? You're not the Hulk, you're just a big burly man who can be hit by a robot. You know, once you're 5 missions in, for instance, the repetitive nature of the game becomes ever more apparent as you load into a location which seemingly looks like all of the rest of the locations in the Utah Badlands. You journey your way to an AIM base, which is totally generic and copy-paste, almost procedural. And along your way, after you have reinstalled Jarvis into the helicarrier and into your communication systems, he will prompt you and say, oh, there's a chest with loot over there. Oh, you're near a strong enemy who might have some new gear on it. And this is where the game really falls down.
There is an elite AIM unit near you. Defeat them and you may gain something useful.
Its reliance on simple mechanics and shallow, hollow loot really takes away from the game. You don't get that rush, that feeling of, oh, I've just got something new, shiny thing. No, it's just another glowing thing on the floor, which you probably should get because you know it's going to make everything easier. But that's all it does. It just makes things easier. I found myself playing through the campaign, You know, 3-4 missions in, I'd go into the gear and I'd press the button which auto-equips the strongest thing. And that was it. That's all I did. 3 or 4 missions further, just do it again. And it doesn't make any cosmetic change. There's no cosmetic differences for the gear that you apply. And understandably so, because obviously the characters in Avengers, or the Avengers themselves, have a very unique style. If each Avenger were to equip gear at the rate at which you equip gear in this game, they would look different every 5 minutes. The ways in which you change your character's appearances are through the season pass-like unlockables, where you go through a series of challenges and then you level up through the season pass. Or you buy them in the shop. You can gain the iconic look of each of the characters by playing through their storyline. It's not really a storyline, it's a few missions that you go through which are very similar to the ones that you would encounter in the campaign. Just with a little bit of the dialogue twist, like the reasoning for going there is slightly different because you're Thor and they've done something with some sort of artifact or something like that. Upon finishing these few missions, you will be gifted with the iconic armor for your character. So, why the gear? All for the end game. It's all for what they imagine Marvel's Avengers will be, which is almost a copy of Destiny, but in the Marvel Universe. I imagine down the line we'll have dungeons and raids, all sorts of hard content, which can only be done by the strongest of the players. It's just shallow. Nothing is there that makes you feel like it's worthwhile. So I played the storyline, I finished the storyline, and it was great, and there are some great moments as you see the characters evolve and you see their relationships change. But once I finished the campaign, I couldn't bring myself to play it anymore. That was all that held value to me, especially considering there's 2 bosses, Taskmaster and Abomination, which are just cycled on a daily basis. You go into the challenges from each of the factions. So you know you can go to the Inhumans and you can go to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they will provide you with challenges, which are just that. They're just, oh, here you go and kill 75 of these things, go and pick up this many resources, go and kill Abomination, go and, like, boring. That's boring. Probably played Avengers for about 40 hours, completing all of the side missions and all of the missions. And there was a bit where I decided maybe I should try what's beyond this. Maybe I should give it a go. But all that devolves into is just grinding out the missions which are most efficient. You know, how quickly can you do a mission which will guarantee you an upgrade? And then you've got to do that over and over and over again. You probably finish the campaign at about power level 50, and the max is 150. So you've got to do that all the way up to 130, which is the soft cap. And then once you're there, you then have to spend all your resources, which you've been grinding up the whole way through. The resources are just a number on the screen, another currency, another extra thing that you have to go and get. Because once you hit the top, the 130, the soft cap, you then have to spend all that resource to get between 130 to 150. Using your resources early is a total waste. An absolute total waste. So they're basically there right at the end, for right at the end of the game. Or what they consider the end. Another area in which Marvel's Avengers falls short is the skill tree and the progression system, which is in the game. You have multiple trees to upgrade your character's offensive capabilities. You can upgrade your light attack combo and your strong attack combo and your aerial attacks and your ranged attack. All of these upgrades are very similar across all of the Avengers. You gain very little feeling. You find yourself not paying too much attention. You understand that, you know, the combo one might be more effective than upgrading the aerial attack, for instance, or you're using your ranged attack more on, say, Iron Man than you are on Hulk, right? These are also quite shallow upgrades. They don't fill you full of the power that you wish, that you want. The only thing which makes your character feel any more unique than the others is the intrinsic skill tree, which plays into your unique trait as each Avenger, right? The rage mechanic for the Hulk, or your power from the arc reactor as Iron Man. In its current state, Marvel's Avengers is only worth playing for the storyline, and that storyline isn't going anywhere. So the roadmap of the game has been laid out in a vague term, with new characters being added as we go. But the player base is already disinterested. People already are bored of this game. Crystal Dynamics need to do something, and quickly, to try and reinvigorate the interest in Avengers. I would hope that in a year's time we have 12 updates, right? If they're following their one update a month scheme, 12 updates which fulfill a story purpose. The story is there and the story is good. Loved it. But it still has the shallow, loot-based, games as a service systems all throughout the game. There's no break from it. It's always there. It's always nagging at you. It's always saying, go and do this, go and do that, grind, 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 because that's what the game is. It's a loot-based, grinding beat 'em up. That is what it is. The great moments are in the cutscenes, and I suppose some of the bosses which you face in the storyline, which aren't part of the two I mentioned previously, do give you a scale of the sort of grandiosity of the Avengers. But that story will be there forever, right? That's not going away. Wait until there is 12 updates. You know, wait a year before picking it up. It will probably have massively dropped in price. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it hasn't dropped in price already. It could come good. It could potentially come good. I mean, there is plenty of players still obsessed with Destiny and still engrossed in that game. Although initially it did have a bit of a rocky start. And in fact, Destiny didn't have any story to speak of, really, in its initial state. So I suppose this has one up on that. But yeah, Crystal Dynamics need to do something quickly. Something to keep people entertained. Something that will keep people coming back. But the systems that are already in there are... they're boring. It's protect this hub and that hub. It's like domination in Call of Duty, right? You're just doing that over and over again. But this is not a multiplayer game in that sense. It's just horde mode. Oh, here we go. Here's a fucking another horde mode. Great, guys. Woo. Protect the place because I need to hack into it or some shit. Maybe give it a year. Maybe, just maybe, it can become good. But right now, Marvel just want to turn it into another arm of the superhero cash cow that is currently roaming so freely. Don't get me wrong, I bought it because I love Avengers. I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But it's only just about lived up to that. If you forget all the other stuff. If you forget about the constant nagging from Jarvis saying, go get gear, go get gear, go get gear. You can find something good in there. Definitely. So in its current state, not worth your game time.
Wait, aren't you gonna say the thing?